What if I told you that LinkedIn holds the key to your next big client, but most people are using it the wrong way? If you're like most business owners or sales professionals, you probably connected with tons of people on LinkedIn, but then struggled to turn those connections into actual sales. The truth is, connections aren't the goal, conversations and conversions are. That's where Sales Navigator comes in. This is the exact system that I use to find, engage, and convert high quality leads into paying clients for my business. And today I'm going to show you exactly how I use it the right way so that you can stop wasting time and start booking more meetings for your business. By the end of this video, you'll know how to find the right leads and filter them efficiently, engage with prospects in a way that actually gets responses, and lastly, book meetings and turn them into real business opportunities. If that sounds valuable, stick around. And if you want more strategies like this, hit the subscribe button and let's dive in. All right, so let's talk a little bit about getting leads, right? So on LinkedIn and on Sales Navigator, you can search on LinkedIn and you definitely can utilize the tool to do some limited searches and be able to find people to connect with on LinkedIn. I'll demonstrate it in just a moment. It just has some very limited filtering capability that gets multiplied by about 100 times whenever you get to Sales Navigator. One, because you can actually filter in on the companies themselves that you want to target. And two, you're able to really focus in on the people that you want to include and exclude from your search criteria. And because of that, in my view, Sales Navigator really does a nice job in allowing you to really be able to focus in on those key individuals that you want to invite to your network. And two, the ones that you really are wanting to get on the phone to talk to. And also the individuals that you want to convert into conversations as well. And between the two tools, between Sales Navigator and LinkedIn, Sales Navigator offers a level of filtering capability that LinkedIn just does not offer, and I'll demonstrate that in just a moment. Let's talk a little bit now about the overall process flow that I use whenever I'm trying to connect with people, get them on the phone, and then better understand their needs so that then I can start to talk to them about things that I might be able to offer them to solve any sort of pains that they're currently having inside of their business. So starting with needing leads on the front end of the flow, we can either use Sales Navigator or we can use LinkedIn to search for our specific target audience. With that, you only have limited capabilities in filtering on LinkedIn. You could filter by industry, you can filter by job type and those sort of things, but you cannot exclude certain categories of people. So let's say that I want to search for business owners, but I want to exclude consultants from that same group or any other service provider. And with that, I can't do it inside of LinkedIn. And I'll demonstrate that in just a little bit. However, in Sales Navigator, I'm able to focus in on not only the individual, I can also focus in on the account that they work for or the company that they work for. I can exclude certain companies from my search. So I could say, hey, look, these companies are maybe clients of mine today. So I don't want to have individuals in that same group that I'm searching for included in that group. And so I can do that in the account section of search on Sales Navigator. As I move further over to the right, I can focus in on leads and individuals that I do want at specific titles within certain geographies, etc. And once I have that list narrowed down, I can then work on turning those individuals into connections. You could do the same exact thing with LinkedIn search. You just will not be able to really focus your search or your search criteria down to the same level as you can with Sales Navigator. Connections, again, are not the goal. And so I just want to touch on this again, that having a connection inside of LinkedIn is not really something that helps us very much overall, other than giving us the capability to move closer to an individual that we want to connect to. And so if you know somebody that's closely connected to somebody and you're connected to them as a first level connection, maybe that second level connection becomes a little easier because of the fact that you already have somebody in your network. And so because of that, the connection might matter, but overall, what you really want to do is work on converting those connections into actual live calls where you can provide some value to the individual and not make it a sales call. You don't want to spend any time in that initial call trying to sell people your product. You want to just get in the call and provide value to people overall. After you have that first call with them, you want to turn around and send them the overview of your company or your business networking one sheet, whichever one applies. And then lastly, you want to support your network and ask that they support you. So obviously, in that first call, the goals would be things like listening to pain points, trying to understand who it is that they're trying to connect to, what sorts of companies are buying products that their company sells, and connecting individuals as much as possible, as best as possible, so that there's some level of reciprocity there, and they may want to eventually then engage with you. So this is how I use my LinkedIn process to actually come back and take a look at finding leads, connecting with the right leads, scheduling calls with those individuals, building relationships and not selling, and then turning around and providing more information about my organization and who my ideal customer is, and continuing to add value to my network. This process has led to a multi six figure organization. All right, so we're now on LinkedIn. Let's just take a look here with regards to the things that you can search for. So let's say that I'm going to search for manufacturing and I want to search for professionals in manufacturing. So I put in the very top here, manufacturing. I say, look, I want to hone this list down into people in manufacturing. And then the next level would be that I can filter by first, second, or third degree connection. So first degree are people that I'm directly connected to. I'm already connected to them. They're in my network. I don't need to do anything or send a connection request. Second degrees are individuals that are also connected to the same person that would be already a first level connection for me. So we have somebody in common that sits in between us. Third level connections don't have any connections that they have on their side or that I have on my side that are common. And so because of that, these third level connections become very hard to actually connect to for anyone. So these people are oftentimes going to start to question, why would I connect to you? What is the purpose and what's the value to me to want to connect to you overall? In terms of locations, I could certainly filter in on the United States, or more specifically, I'm in Colorado. And so I could filter in on Colorado as well. I could filter in on their current company, the company that they currently work for. And if there's a common company between us, that might be another connecting factor for us. I also just clicked on the all filters button here in the right. And in here, you could see that there are a series of things that I can filter on. So I'm going to set this for second level, United States. I'm not going to filter down on any company. I'm also not going to choose any other connection of, so that again, I could say they're a connection of somebody that sits in between us, or that they're a follower of some particular thing. Not going to select a school. I will select an industry as manufacturing, and then I'm going to leave the rest of these open at this point in time. What you're not seeing in here, and I want to pay special attention to this because you will see this whenever we go to Sales Navigator, is there's no way to remove people from certain groups. So one of the examples that I used in my explanation was being able to remove consultants or service providers from this grouping. And there isn't a way for me to do that. I can, however, add in keywords down here and search for certain things like words in their title and things like that. Now I'm going to click show results. So now here are all of the second level connections that I have in my immediate view to be able to connect to and try and get them then eventually on the phone related to manufacturing. So you could see Jeff here. He's a vice president of manufacturing. He's a certified executive coach. If I click on connect, I can send him a message. So if you wanted to know what message I might send him, again, I'm going to come back to my diagram here and I'll include these examples under the video. But the common message that I use is one to try and set a tone that I actually just want to connect with them and be somebody that's inside of their network because of the industry that they're in and because of the background that they have. And so with that, that's the message that I have here. I came across your profile and I found your background or company really interesting as a leader in this case, manufacturing. I'm always looking to connect with like-minded professionals. I'd love to add you to my network and looking forward to staying in touch. And then I just add my name and leave it at that. Now, this gets me normally north of 40%. So if I send out 100 connection requests is what we can send out on a weekly basis on LinkedIn. If I send out 100 connection requests, I will roughly get about 40% plus from that where the individuals will connect with me. Now, my profile is pretty well dialed in. It's dialed in though for marketing. And so whenever people in manufacturing see that a marketing guy is reaching out, they might be asking, well, why exactly should I connect with you in this case? However, if you had a profile that was very tuned in to individuals in manufacturing, then that would actually result in more connections being accepted, most likely. After they accept, all of the people that accept then, so the 40 people roughly that are going to accept my request, the next message that they get from me is I'd love to hop on a quick call to better understand what you're working on and see how I can support you. I'm very relationship focused and I always look for ways to provide value to my network. Let me know if you're open to a quick chat. Would love to connect. Now, again, there's a portion of those 40 that are going to say yes, and it's a good portion. Each and every week, I probably have minimum of 5 phone calls with individuals that are able to meet in that specific week. Sometimes the meetings do spill over into the following weeks as well, just because somebody's busy or they're traveling or what have you. And so with that, these 2 messages put me in direct contact with several individuals. And to me, this has been the main thread that I've used to try and connect to people and then also find clients for my business so that I can continue to grow throughout time. Also, though, there are individuals in here whenever we meet that I can connect them with inside of my network. And so oftentimes that's what I do as a next step. I build relationships. So I'm setting and listening for opportunities to try and provide value to those individuals. Since I do mostly digital marketing, normally I show up typically with a review of their website to look at things that they might change or do overall that they don't honestly need my help with. There are things that people can honestly do on their own to get started where they don't even need my help. If I see anything that's troubling, I also try and call those things out so that hopefully they can talk to their current provider for their website to get those items fixed. It's not necessarily that I need to jump in at the very beginning and tell them every single thing that I do or cover a large presentation and really drown the individuals that I'm talking to about the things that I do. So then I get to that building relationships portion. And then lastly, I send them information about my organization and what it is that I do. So I don't do that until after we hang up on the phone. We may cover a couple of things that I do at a very high level. If they ask for more information, I certainly go into more depth at that point in time, but they're asking for it and drawing it out. I'm not showing up with a large presentation ready to go. And oftentimes I tell people, look, I've got to load those slides. I didn't come to the call with the idea that I was going to sell anything. And so I don't want to do that to you. I just would like to try and answer your question in terms of the ways that I do support organizations. And so I'm happy to cover that as well. And so with that, it helps to build that initial trust with people that, hey, look, this guy's definitely not trying to sell me something. He's just trying to provide value. And when I can, I connect people that I'm already connected to so that then again, they can connect with more people that might be able to help them. That sort of feeling of reciprocity is what I've seen grow my business more than absolutely anything. So now that I've covered a little bit of what this looks like on this side in terms of search, which is fairly simple, there just isn't a lot that you can filter by inside of LinkedIn. And so with that, it's just a really limited interface. Now, for some individuals in their business, it provides just enough and they're very happy with what it is that they get. Let me open up one more tab here in an incognito window as well, just to show you really quickly. So if you go to LinkedIn, and I'll provide this link as well, but it's linkedin.com/sales. Before we get started here, let me cover a little bit of what it actually costs to get Sales Navigator. To get started with Sales Navigator, it's $119 a month or $959 a year. And so it's not insignificant. I'm not denying that. But at the same time, I feel like the efficiency that I gain and the time that I save in terms of being able to focus in on the right people, this plan definitely gives me the most value. Do I wish that it did even more? Absolutely. However, we'll cover a little bit more of what it is that it actually does and how there are differences and things like that. So let me open up and hop into Sales Navigator itself. One of the first things that you see is that it gives you a quick breakdown of people that are in your network that have had recent events. And so there are leads that are in here. There are people that have recently posted. There's a lot of different information that gets presented inside of LinkedIn. You can also see things like birthdays and things like that. And so you can see a lot of things that most people can't see whenever they're looking inside of LinkedIn on the individuals that they have other than person by person. So you could certainly go person by person inside of your normal LinkedIn account and see who has birthdays, but at the same time, you're not going to see some of these other things that individuals have currently posted and things like that. And so to me, this provides just another level of detail that you can see on the Sales Navigator side. If I were to try and filter things down here, where I typically start is on this outside side at account filters. And if you come in here and we do the same exact thing that we just did, so I could, first of all, put in a general search term here and just say manufacturing. And with that, it's going to come up with a series of companies that focus in on manufacturing or have manufacturing in the company title. And so that's essentially what that has done. Now, on the left-hand side, you could see that there is annual revenue for these individuals as well. So you could say, hey, look, I want to focus in on companies that are, let's say, 20 million to 100 million, and I want just to see those companies. Now it's narrowed the list here on the right even further. The next level could be that I only want to focus in on companies that are in the United States. And it's telling me that if I click on this filter, right now it's 43,000. So that's what I have, including outside of the United States. If I click on the United States only, it's going to lower that down to 8,000. So now we have even less. And if I wanted to pick the specific industry as manufacturing, it cuts that list in half again. So now that is down to only manufacturing companies overall, and I've got 4,000 companies in there. Now, let's say that I wanted to use this information and come back to it to review it quite frequently. If I click this button right here, what this does is it allows me then to really, it allows me then to keep this as a series of saved accounts inside of my account. And so it's going to be titled as manufacturing United States dot dot dot. And so if I click right here, this is that search, manufacturing, United States manufacturing. That's the list that we just created in that. Now, these accounts are not saved individually yet to a specific list. So let's say that I wanted to save this group of companies and I select them and then I say save them to a list. And let's say that I have, a manufacturing only list. So let's create one here that's manufacturing. And I'm going to create that and save. Let's just say I save, I don't know, 100 companies. To do that, what I have to do is scroll to the bottom. I'm going to go through 4 pages here really quickly, essentially select all, save them to the list, manufacturing, and then I'm going to scroll all the way to the bottom. I'll go to page 3 then. And in page 3, I'm going to select all, save them to the list in manufacturing only. And one more time on page 4, we're going to pick the last 4 there and save to list and then manufacturing only. And I'll show you why there's a benefit to doing this in just a moment. So essentially, I've saved them to a list. It's called manufacturing only. And pretty much that's all I'm going to use this page for. One of the key tips that I tell everybody, though, is that let's say that you're focused in on manufacturing, but you want to really, make sure at the end of the day, there's no other manufacturing companies that you're missing. And so you might have just seen it come up. You could see machinery manufacturing is right here. So I don't have that included currently. Here's defense and space manufacturing, computer hardware manufacturing. So you can see there are different types of manufacturing in here. And I just have a general search term currently selected overall. And one of the power tips that I tell people all the time is look, really spend some time in this industry category because people are very specific whenever they set inside of a particular industry what that industry is. And so you want to make sure that you're grabbing the individual companies that could be manufacturing. Maybe you're looking for only sporting goods manufacturing. So you might include that and then remove this manufacturing one. What I could do is though as well is I could say, "Hey, look, you know what? Sporting goods is not a good match for me, so I want to make sure that I exclude anything related to sporting goods manufacturing." And you could see again the things on the right just shifted again because I removed that from any results. It doesn't look like it really impacted the numbers, so I don't think there are a lot of those individuals that are in here. But in this case, if I wanted to make sure that I removed that, that's how I would do that. So let me talk a little bit about how we're going to use that account list that we just created a moment ago. The way that plays into things is under this second tab that's right here under account list. And so what I want to do is I'm going to click the plus sign here. I need to scroll down until I see my manufacturing only list. And this works for excluding things too. So you could have accounts that you absolutely want to exclude every single time that you do something in here. And so you could have an exclude list, but in this case, I'm including my manufacturing only list. You can see what's happened on the right-hand side. It's sort of filtered down into individuals that are here. Now, if I come back up to the very top, I'm going to focus on the left-hand side of filters first, and then we'll come back to the right-hand side one more time. I just wanted to start with adding that account list because it sets the ground for making sure that we have a really focused list. And you could see already I have 5.5 thousand results, right? So I have, 5,500 people already that I could reach out to, but I want to even more focus this list down into individuals that I would want to touch base with. You may want to focus again on headcount and current company and past company and things like that. I'm going to skip past this section and come right down here to function and role and things like that. And so, in terms of job titles, I normally talk to CEOs, I talk to COOs, and I also talk to CIOs. And so with that, I have a very focused list now with these three individuals that are showing up on the right-hand side. And you can see I'm already down to 54 results. So this is a very focused list. It'd be very easy to reach out to these individuals as well, just to make sure that if I could help them, give it a shot. I scroll through the rest of here. I don't really see anything else that I need to filter in on. There may be other things. Again, you might want to spend more time in this industry section. It might be worth it. We should already have US only companies because of our existing account list. And so I'm not going to touch geography anymore. It should already taken care of. With connections, though, I would want to only focus on second degree connections because third degree connections are individuals that don't have somebody else that's sitting in between us, right? So I want to only come back to this list of second degree connections. And let's see how many come up now. It's 16. There's 16 individuals that I can reach out to right now that are in this manufacturing only list. It's a pretty short list of companies, right? I had a whole bunch of companies I could go back to and add and things like that on the other side, on the account list side, which would even further expand this list if I wanted to reach out to more. But I like having a really focused list. And let's say that if you had 100 or right around 100 people, that would pretty closely match how many connection requests you could send out in any given week anyway. And so I'm going to start with this list and let's take a look at what we could possibly find out about each of these people. So on the right hand side, you could click the three dots, you can click on connect, and that will actually let you send a connection request right from here. If that's all I cared about was, getting through these as quickly as I possibly could, that might be one way to go through it. I honestly, though, like to see a little bit more about the individual. So, what I typically do is I click on their name, and then that opens up this little side panel over here and allows me to see a little bit more about this individual. What is their current role? How long have they been in that role? Where do they live? What are the types of experience that they've had in the past? Who knows? Maybe they have some experience that I've had. Maybe they've lived somewhere that I've lived. They've gone to school that somebody that I know, have gone to. So all of these things start to tell me a little bit more about the individual so that I can really hyper personalize that connection request whenever I'm sending it. I don't want to send a generic connection request. I gave you an initial template to start with, but then you should definitely think about adding some additional things that will cause this person at the end of the day to want to connect with you and have a deeper conversation. So as we go through this list, you're going to see individuals that don't have very well formed LinkedIn pages. And so I just want to come back to somebody like this person here. We have Tom Hansen. He's at Zentek Manufacturing. He doesn't have a background image. He doesn't have a image here in his profile. That leads me to start to believe that maybe he hasn't done a lot on LinkedIn, and it's kind of reflected over here. Recent activity on LinkedIn, he commented on a post a month ago. And it was just, congratulations to somebody that he knows. So this individual might not be a good connection for LinkedIn anyway, even if they were, somebody that definitely is within your target. You may not want to actually reach out to this person because of the fact that they just don't have a well-formed profile. They don't spend a lot of time on here. It doesn't seem like they really do anything anyway to really expand their business connections. And so because of that, it just might be somebody that you don't necessarily want to reach out to. I'd like to leave you is that as these connections start to come in, what you'll start to receive are emails that say, you just recently connected to this individual, send them a message. And so when you get those emails, that's your time to send the second message that I have detailed here. So this one to schedule a call goes out whenever you receive the message that so and so is now a connection in your network. And so congratulations, then you've got your connection. The last thing that to just to touch on for a moment is that this process for me has been greatly beneficial. It's been the way to actually build real connections using LinkedIn and really building a network at the end of the day that's been very powerful for me. It's led to referrals, it's led to people coming to me that want to connect and do business with my business. And for that reason, I just wanted to come on here and share that with all of you. If this video has been beneficial to you, please click the like and subscribe button. Thanks a lot for watching.